He asked too many questions. His teachers didn't see potential. They saw problems. Your son is too dumb to learn anything. The world just doesn't understand you yet. He failed 1,000 times. Have you ever failed at something and told yourself, maybe I'm just not good enough? Have you ever had someone look you in the eye, a teacher, a boss, even a parent, and tell you that you were worthless? That you would never amount to anything? If that has ever happened to you, then this story is for you. Because there was a boy, a small, quiet, curious boy, who was told exactly that. Not once. Not twice. But again, and again, and again. And yet, that same boy would one day light up the entire world. This is the story of Thomas Alva Edison. And I promise you, by the time this is over, you will never look at failure the same way again. It was February 11, 1847. In a small town called Milan, Ohio, a child was born into a simple family. No riches. No privilege. No grand destiny written on the wall. Just a boy named Thomas. From the very beginning, Thomas was different. Not in a celebrated way. Not in the way people smile and say, "Oh, he's gifted." No. He was different in the way that made people uncomfortable. He asked too many questions. He couldn't sit still. He stared at things, fires, insects, machines, for hours, as if the world was speaking to him in a language only he could hear. His teachers didn't see potential. They saw problems. One day, when Thomas was just 7 years old, his teacher called his mother, Nancy, into the school. He handed her a folded letter. Nancy opened it slowly, and read the words that no mother ever wants to read about her child. Your son is too dumb to learn anything. His mind is addled. Confused. Broken. There is no hope for him here. Do not bring him back. Can you imagine that? Being 7 years old, and the very people trusted to shape your future, already decided you had none. But Nancy Edison was not just any mother. She folded that letter, looked her son in the eyes, and made a decision that would change the world. She pulled Thomas out of school. And she taught him herself. She read to him. She experimented with him. She told him, every single day, "Thomas, you are not broken. You are brilliant. The world just doesn't understand you yet." And Thomas believed her. With no formal classroom, Thomas discovered something magical. Books. He devoured them. Science. History. Chemistry. Philosophy. By the age of 9, he had read through an entire library shelf on his own. But books were never enough for Thomas. He didn't just want to read about the world. He wanted to break it open and see what was inside. He turned his family's basement into a laboratory. He filled it with chemicals, wires, old machines, anything he could find. His mother was terrified. His father thought he was wasting time. But Thomas was alive down there. At 12 years old, when most children were still playing in the fields, Thomas went to work. He sold newspapers and candy on a train to help support his family. But even that wasn't enough for his restless mind. He set up a small chemistry lab in the train's baggage car, mixing and experimenting between stops. Until one day, an experiment went wrong. Phosphorus caught fire. The baggage car filled with smoke. The conductor dragged Thomas off the train by his ears, threw him and his equipment onto the platform, and that was the end of that. Fired. At 12 years old. Most children would have gone home and cried. Thomas went home, and kept experimenting. Because failure, to Thomas Edison, was never the end. It was just information. As Thomas grew into a young man, the setbacks kept coming. He tried working as a telegraph operator, one of the most respected technical jobs of his era. He was brilliant at it. But Thomas could never follow rules he didn't understand. He was always tinkering. Always modifying. Always asking, what if we did it differently? His bosses didn't want curiosity. They wanted obedience. One night, while working a night shift, Thomas was supposed to send a signal every hour to prove he was awake and on duty. But Thomas had been down in the wiring room, trying to improve the machine. He forgot the signal. Then, trying desperately to fix another experiment, he knocked a jar of sulfuric acid off the shelf. It crashed through the floor, and ate through his supervisor's desk below. He was fired. Again. He walked out of that building with almost nothing in his pockets. No job. No plan. A few dollars to his name. He was 22 years old, sleeping in the basement of a building in New York City. Cold nights. Empty stomach. The city rumbling above him like a heartbeat that didn't belong to him. There were nights, alone in the dark, when even Thomas Edison must have wondered. Maybe they were right about me. Maybe I am too dumb. Maybe I should just stop. But somewhere in that darkness, a small voice pushed back. Not a voice of arrogance. Not blind confidence. Just a quiet, stubborn, unbreakable refusal to accept that this was the end of his story. In 1869, a stroke of accidental luck changed everything. Thomas was in the offices of a gold-price machine company in New York when the central transmitter broke down. Panic. Everyone was shouting. No one knew what to do. Thomas quietly walked over to the machine, studied it for a moment, and fixed it. The company's owner, General Lefferts, stared at him. "Young man, who are you?" That moment. That one small moment, cracked open a door. Thomas was hired on the spot. And 3 months later, he sold his first major invention, an improved stock ticker, for $40,000. $40,000. To a man who had been sleeping on a basement floor just months before. He used that money to build his dream. A real laboratory. In Menlo Park, New Jersey. A place where failure wasn't punished. It was required. He hired brilliant minds. He told them, "We will try everything. We will fail constantly. And we will never, ever stop." And they didn't. And then came the light bulb. We all know the story, but do we feel it? Thomas Edison did not fail once or twice trying to create a practical electric light bulb. He failed 1,000 times. 1,000 experiments. 1,000 nights of burned fingers, shattered glass, and dead ends. His team grew frustrated. Reporters mocked him. Fellow scientists said it was impossible. A journalist once asked him, "Mr. Edison, how does it feel to have failed 1,000 times?" Thomas looked at him calmly, and said, "I have not failed 1,000 times. I have successfully discovered 1,000 ways that do not work." Let that land. 1,000 ways that do not work. He didn't see failure as a wall. He saw it as a map. Every wrong turn narrowed down the right path. And on October 21, 1879, after more than a year of relentless trying, a thin carbon filament inside a glass bulb began to glow. Softly at first. Then brighter. And brighter. And for the first time in human history, a man-made star was born. The boy who was too dumb to learn anything, had just changed the world forever. Thomas Edison went on to hold 1,093 patents. The phonograph. The motion picture camera. Electrical power distribution. A legacy so vast, we are still living inside it today. But here is what I want you to take away from this story. It was never about genius. It was never about talent. It was about refusing to let the world's opinion of you become your opinion of yourself. His teacher called him too dumb to learn. He became the greatest inventor in American history. He was fired from 2 jobs. He built a laboratory that invented the modern world. He failed 1,000 times. And on failure 1001, he gave us light. So the next time you fail, and you will fail, because every great person does, remember Thomas Edison in that cold basement, hungry and alone, still choosing to believe in what he could not yet see. Remember that every wrong attempt discarded, is another step forward. The light you're watching this video by, it began with a boy the world gave up on. Don't let the world give up on you. And more importantly, don't you give up on you. Because the world is still waiting, for the light only you can give it. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Thomas Alva Edison.